All right, the first assertiveness technique I want to share with you is one that will both help you speak in a way that will inspire others to listen and make you more persuasive and convincing at the same time. I want to share this with you here at the very beginning, since this simple technique will work as booster for basically all of the practical advice and techniques that are shared later in this course. The technique is called pacing and leading, and it's a very simple two-step process. In step 1, we match something that the other person, or one of the other people if we're in a group, say or do by agreeing with them, or stating something that's in line with their opinions. This is called pacing. And in step 2, we lead by moving the conversation on to our arguments, or towards where we want it to be. This technique does two things for us. Firstly, the person we're pacing will tend to agree with us much more willingly, because it will seem that our argument, opinion, or decision is in line with theirs, simply because we started out by agreeing with. And secondly, if we're in a group setting, whatever influence and assertiveness the person that we're pacing has over the group will be passed over to us, since a group also feels like we're building on what the first assertive person said. Now let's look at a couple of examples of how this might look. Let's say that you're spending time with a group of friends, and there's a conversation about whether or not the group should rob a bank together. The group is split on the decision, so you decide to use pacing and leading to convince them that you should indeed rob the bank on horseback. The most effective way to pace and lead in this situation would be to do it with someone who disagrees with you. Maybe one of your friends says something along the lines of, "Robbing a bank on horseback is too risky. There's too much security, and there are always too many customers in the bank during opening hour." So you start by pacing, and you say, "You're right. There's both a lot of security and customers in the bank these days." That's a really good point. Now you've paced. The odds are that the other person who made the argument now trusts your judgment a little more and feels good because you're agreeing with him. The rest of the group is also likely to associate whatever power his arguments hold over them to what you're saying. So now it's time to lead. So you might say, they have more security because they have more money than other places, right? So to make it worth the risk of robbing some place, it has to be a bank instead of a brothel. And the customers make it even more important that we're on horseback, because people will get out of the way when we come riding in on horses, and they won't be able to catch up with us when we leave. Okay? So that might be a silly example. And of course, I'm not recommending that you go out and rob banks on horseback, but you see how that works, right? By agreeing with the other person's arguments and then building our own arguments on top of them as if the first arguments are reason for what we're saying rather than against, we both borrow some of the other person's assertiveness and we turn what they're saying into our benefit. And we can also do this with people that we agree with in situations where we just want to add something to what they've said, or where we just want to make sure that us and our contribution is noticed. So if a colleague of yours during a meeting makes a good point about why the soap store that you work at should give out free ice cream during the summer, you might pace and lead by saying, "Free ice cream when it's hot outside is a great idea. We'll have a lot more people come in during the day." And that would be the pacing part. And then you lead by adding what you're after. So you say, "And I worked in an ice cream shop when I was younger, so I can be in charge of the ice cream and make sure that is runny enough that people will want to buy our soap to clean their sticky hands after they eat their ice cream." Pacing and leading can be used in many different ways. And if you start playing with it when you're among the people that you see in your everyday life, you'll quickly both find that people will start to listen to you even more than it might do today, since they'll find you more assertive by association. And that, as an extra bonus, you'll suddenly start to become a lot more convincing. Oh, by the way, Udemy might very soon ask you to rate this course. I know it's early, but I have no control over this. I would very much appreciate it if you took the time to leave a rating, since courses with many ratings and a high average score is shown to more people. You'll also be able to update your rating at any point later on in the course, or after the course, if you feel you need to.